What is up, Scrubs? I am back from the Connecticut regionals. I'm doing this morning. I'm going into work at 10:30, so I figured keep everything fresh in my mind, go over the weekend, talk about how amazing ARG was. So, guys, just to start off, I had an incredible time. It was awesome seeing everybody that I've known for years from previous games. It was awesome meeting new people. It was awesome meeting subscribers in person. That was so dope. There's so many people that came up to me and thanked me, or just went over the decks, the different decks that I've built and I've put up there, and just how they appreciate them and love them. There was people that were going on runs with the tricolor Ginyu deck that I had posted and things like that. So that was really cool. So that was a really good start to the weekend. In general, of course, I had the money match Friday night. This whole weekend in general was kind of the story of like not triumphant for me, and that's fine. Any opportunity to be humbled and an experience is wonderful, so I truly take it that way. Of course, my game against Scott was best of one, as you guys saw. There were some people thought of them as misplaced, essentially the way I handled the TN situation in that game, but people don't know that my hand was just 3 TNs and then the rest of the stuff that I couldn't play. So I didn't really have much I could do. Whereas everyone saw Scott's draw. He had multiple Go tanks. He had all the Dodorias in the world. He definitely had everything he needed to win the game, and I wasn't upset about it at all. I enjoyed just getting the experience, and I'm glad he was able to finally get the monkey off his back of beating me, but that's okay. Anyway, so we go to the event itself. So leading up to the event, I did a lot of playtesting, as you guys know, because you guys, saw my tricolor Ginyu list, and that, of course, was on the table. But there were some things I thought about to myself, which was, do I really want to play this for 8, 9 rounds and beyond, especially if we get into Top Cut? Am I gonna have fun while doing it? And then, of course, how much does winning really matter to me? And so, the answer to those questions are all pretty obvious. So, because of my deck choice. So, number one, I didn't want to play tricolor Ginyu all day in best of 3. Most of all, there's a few reasons why. There were so many other Ginyus that were going to be there. Playing the mirror match is really play draw dependent. My deck is really good on the play in the mirror, especially because I run Ready to Strike Piccolo, and that just wins the mirror match if you're on the play and you play that, and your opponent doesn't have an answer for it. So basically, I was prepared for that, but at the same time, I don't want to play that match over and over again and be subjected to variance of who drew more Bloodlust, who drew more threats, etc. So then from there, I wanted to decide on what would be more fun for me to play. And so I came up with this deck the week before the tournament and started testing it, and it was doing a lot of things. It was one-shotting people. In testing, I was taking people down from 8, 7 life down to 0 all in one turn, and I was just like, okay, well, let's test this out at regional. Let's go full force and let's try and break the format, if you may, and try and do something crazy. And so the deck did do crazy stuff. There was every game that I was on the play, especially in game 1. I won those games and I was able to pull out the combo with no issue. But the problem is once you get past game 1 and once they know what's coming, the jig is up and you have to essentially go to your backup plan, which sometimes your backup plan is not good enough to beat a lot of different strategies out there. So, of course, lesson learned. Make sure that if you're playing a deck, make sure you're playing it for the right format, which I just didn't think about it. I was just like, man, this deck's amazing. I'm just gonna play it. It's super fun. And so I had a ton of fun playing the deck. And honestly, if you guys go to locals and your locals are best of 1, you should really give this deck a try. If you can afford it. It's super expensive. I feel so bad about that, but I just had to put it together. I had to try it. I had to play it, and it was definitely worth it. I showed it off to a bunch of people. A bunch of people loved the deck idea and the deck concept. A deck similar to it made Top Cut, but they weren't playing the combo at all. So I thought that was pretty interesting, but I was glad that that deck made Top Cut because it was really cool. So other than that, yeah, that's why I chose the deck that I chose to play. Also, I talked about in my Facebook post that talking about my next development of the player, and so my next topic is going to be making sure that when you're going into a tournament that you are just trying to figure out what your goals are before you go into the tournament. And so my development as a player is the fact that historically, across every course of every game that I've ever played, I will choose to play something that I enjoy playing instead of playing the best deck for that day. And that's an issue I have. It's not a I mean, maybe it's a I don't feel challenged if I play like a tier 1 deck. Like I feel like it's almost like too easy. Not that I'm saying that I'm the most amazing player in the world. I don't think that at all. But I do think that I can play the game at a high level, and so maybe it's the fact that if I play a deck that's tier 1, I feel like it's not a challenge for me that day, that I'm not doing something worthwhile and I'm not having fun with it. Whereas like I'd rather play something that I've built that's original, that I have fun with, and take that to a tournament. But sometimes it's not always the best thing to do. And so what I need to work on going forward myself as a player is, if I want to win, I have to do it. I hate saying at all costs, but I have to do it at all costs. And when I look back at this weekend, I didn't walk into this weekend with the goal of top 8ing or winning the tournament. And that was my mindset. And so, of course, my deck reflection, pointed that out. But now going forward, after I got my legs under me, because I played all 8 rounds of the tournament itself, because I really wanted to experience best of 3 for 8 rounds. And it really wasn't too bad. So now that I've played a tournament at that length, because I haven't done that in a really long time, I feel much more confident and comfortable selecting and playtesting and getting a more complex deck out there that's going to be able to work really well within the format itself. And so that's my next development as a player, is taking that step and finally just taking the win, if it may be. Just instead of just trying hard and to force something to work to make it meta, I should just play the best decks in the format. And if I don't do that, then I'm doing myself a disservice. I'm doing you guys a disservice. And of course, this is a great time to segue into my sponsor. You guys can see in the upper left-hand corner of the video, Bearded Collectibles. Woot. We are sponsored by Bearded Collectibles. I'm really excited. Alec Pastrana, he's amazing. He's been amazing to the community. He's been amazing to me and all the interactions I've had with him. And he's a really good role model of someone that runs a store, whether it be online or in person. He's opening up his larger shop in Florida now, which is amazing for all you Florida players. You have a place to go play that's going to fit more than 40 people. And all of his prices are bottom dollar, so you guys are going to always be getting the best deal from Alec. And he doesn't do anything that's shady. He's really upfront, and he always does public posts. So I'm really excited to work with him as a sponsor, because I know that he is one of the most upstanding individuals in the entire community. And so I feel like working with him and working together, that we're going to be able to accomplish a lot for the community, for this game in general, whether it be just being ambassadors for Super, if it means being a top performing team in the game, which I have no doubt we will, because the minds that are going to be on that team are going to be outstanding. And I got to talk with a lot of the people from Florida at the event, and they come just, all their thought processes are just awesome. So it's always great to be able to share and mix those up. So I'm really excited to work with that team when it comes to competitive play. So again, that is my sponsor, Bearded Collectibles. So with that being said, that means now there is no going to a tournament and just saying I want to just have fun. I really do need to dig my heels in and start playing the best deck in the game, whether it be something that I create or something I don't create. And that's okay. It's okay to play something that's not original, or just to innovate off of something, and I've always done that. So I'm just going to continue to do that, and hopefully now you'll start seeing some results from me that are even better going forward. So other than that, I have a couple more shoutouts I'm going to do before I get to the deck profile. So these are some new content creators coming out. We have Team Death Note on YouTube. Met them in person at the event itself. They were awesome to talk to. They did a highlight video for Connecticut, and they're going to be doing more and more content that's going to be rolling out. So please check out Team Death Note. They were really cool guys in person, really fun, really great personalities, and so I'm pretty sure you guys will get to love all their content that's coming out. And then next we have Hermit Style Gaming. They're a group that's based out of the Hampton Roads area. And it's really neat. Their concept is going to be based off of essentially Master Roshi. So the site's going to be filled with things that are going to be Roshi themed, and of course it's going to be based off the Dragon Ball Super card game. They're going to be providing content to you, and they also have a special partnership with with Brandon Schuldenberger, who's going to be doing Octagon stuff. So you guys will hear about that coming soon. I don't want to spoil any details, but it's pretty sweet because it's going to make things a lot easier for everybody. And then lastly, I'm going to shout out my boy, because I told him I would, Antonio Santaniello. I don't, if I pronounced it right, I don't know if I did, but awesome meeting you in person. Thank you so much for all the kind words, and I'm really excited to see what you do in the game going forward, because the deck that you played at the 1K and of course in the tournament itself was really cool. So keep up your good work, man. And then, actually, I'm not done with shout outs yet. Shout out to Scott Dashy. Shout out Scott Dashy. Love you, man. Awesome seeing you in person, catching up, and we know that Saturday never happened, so that's fine. Pat O'Neill, you're my brother. I don't know how it happened. I don't know where you came from, but we are the same person. That's cool. And also, I'm probably going to get flack in this video for this, and that's okay. But I want everyone to know that Anthony Hernandez is an awesome person. It was awesome hanging out with him. It was awesome getting to know him. Awesome talking about the game. He's super passionate about the game, and that was awesome to be able to spend time with and get to speak to him on that level about the game itself. He's really intelligent. He's a great player. Just watching his games, interacting with him, and talking about his game theory and the way he approaches the games, and his deck that he played was awesome. It was really innovative. We swapped decks before the tournament started just to see what each other were playing. We both thought we were playing some spice, and we both could appreciate it. So that was awesome. And then Dusty, I met him from Kitchen Table Meta. Awesome guy. I'm going to plan a trip to him sometime in January, probably before the Richmond Regional, so me and him can have a playtest session. Maybe we'll make some content for you guys while we're doing it. I think the two of us together could do some amazing things, and of course help bring even more people into Dragon Ball Super, which is our goal as content creators to begin with. So, otherwise, though, I've gone on a lot about this stuff, and I'm pretty certain you guys just want to hear about this this OTK deck. So I'll go ahead and jump into that. So here we go. Goku Black, Green Blue. What? What do you mean? All right. So just gonna explain the gist of the deck. So all you want to do essentially is your opening hand. You want to have a Whis, and you'd like to see one of your combo pieces. And your combo pieces are these 3 cards, sometimes multiples of them. So all you're going to do is on turn 3, you want to make sure you have 2 blue down and at least a green, and you're going to play a Whis. You're going to use Goku Black's ability to flip up an energy, and you're going to play a Whis on turn 3. Turn 4, you're going to charge. Most of the time it's going to be your second green unless you hit one off of the Whis. And then you're going to use Goku Black's ability again, and then you're going to play a Joyful Strike Goku Black. By the time it's in the game, most of the time when you're playing against people, they don't know what your deck's doing. And so what they're going to do is they're going to attack you multiple times. Sometimes they're going to put you down to 2. Sometimes they'll hit you with double strikers, put you down to 4. If they do any of those things, it's a huge mistake on their part. Because if they do, they're getting you closer down to your threshold where you can get to 2 or less life, and you're going to activate double strike. So the reason why this deck is so devastating is the fact that if you're on the play, by the time you're getting to your 4th turn, your opponent only has 3 energy. So they have 3 energy, and they may have tapped some of it, which sometimes they do. They may tap 1 or 2 if they want to play a 1 or 2 drop, or sometimes they tap all 3. At this point, you're going to go into your turn. Like I said, you're going to charge, you're going to black, you're going to play a Joyful Strike. The Joyful Strike is either going to take you down to 4, or it's going to take you down to 2. Sometimes you get to live the dream and have 2 of these, which I've done before, and I did it in the tournament, and it was absolutely disgusting. So from there, you play the Joyful Strike. Then you're going to play Inherited Will Super Saiyan Son Goku. Then you will swing with Inherited Will Super Saiyan Son Goku. Your opponent will end up taking the damage because they will not be able to combo over this. And if they want to negate, they can, but that's one less negate they're going to have. And then lastly, after that, you're going to play the 7-drop Gohan. Once this happens, depending on if you have anything else on board or not, a lot of the times the game is over. To be blunt, because at this point you're going to be threatening 2, 4, 6, 8 damage on the board, and your opponent either has to have enough negates at this point, or they have to have plenty of combo pieces in order to be able to get over it. So, as I stated, black into Inherited Will into SS2 Gohan, and this is how you OTK people. So, from my experiences, I played a lot of games, of course, in testing, and then in the tournament itself, and the deck performed really well on the play, like I figured it would. And so, the most memorable is probably in round 3, when I played against a blue-green cell, and unfortunately, he was on the play, and I went off a turn late, but on his turn 5, he tapped all of his energy to play a 5-drop Union cell and then evolve into the 7-drop cell. So he put an 18 under it to put me down to 3 cards because he thought that was the correct play to do, because my hand was pretty large at that time. I think I had like 8, 9 cards. But I had all 3 combo pieces. And he had been attacking me, so my life was already at 4. Because I was at 6 at the time, and then he swung with his double striker, put me down to 4. And so I was like, oh, this is perfect. So then From there, I proceeded to 6-drop Rose, untap, play Inherited Will, and then proceed to play 7-drop Gohan. And I didn't want to be rude, but I told him, I was like, at this point, I was like, unless you run 4-drop Kales and you have all of them, I was like, the game is over. And he was just like, well, what do you mean? I was just like, well, you can't combo with anything that costs 3 or less. If you do, it's just going to go to the drop area. And a lot of people, when they see this card, they have to pick up this card and read it because they don't realize that it's not when he attacks. It's just for the duration of the turn. So this was game 1. I was on the draw, and he made the mistake of tapping his energy. And so I proceeded to combo out, and the game was over. And this was my turn 5 because I had to do it a turn late. So, yep, that was a thing. So that happened, and that was one of the first of many victims that day that experienced it. I then went on to play one of Danny Height's teammates, David Lee, and in game 1, similar thing. He didn't tap all the way out, but he also didn't have that many answers. So of course, I just went Joyful into Inherited Will into 7-drop, and then ended up taking that game 1. And so pretty much every game that I was on the play throughout the day, and I had the combo pieces, I won those games. There's just no way that your opponent can stop you with only 3 energy from being able to eat their life away, because there's just so many cards that they're not going to be able to combo with to stay alive. And so the reason why I chose this deck was because this deck is going to be able to steal games off of people, which is a lot of fun. And honestly, playing the deck is really cool because you only have one goal in mind the entire time, especially in game 1, which is just playing Whis on 3 and then going with your combo on turn 4. But there's also some interplay to the deck where you have backup plans. And so, for instance, in game 2 against the blue-green cell player that I went off against, he was playing really conservatively, not tapping his energy, and not really making any plays. And I was like, this is 100% okay if this is the type of game you want to play. Because I just started filling my board with 5-drop Gotenks, Raging Attacker Vegetas. I played a regular 6. I played a Joyful Strike just to put myself down to 6. And then I played a second one later to go for lethal and put myself down to 4. And then played the 7-drop Gohan anyway. And at that point, my board was just too overwhelming. There was nothing that he could do to win that game. And so I just ended up killing him that turn anyway. So this deck doesn't really do its damage over time. This deck is going to do all this damage in one big chunk, especially since there's no reliable board sweeper, unless you're playing the Gohan 6. Not the Gohan 6, but the Gohan leader with the 6 tap, kill something, kill all your things. So another thing that's cool about this deck is it runs these, then Unyielding Spirit Trunks, and it runs Senzu Beans. So there's some times where the reason why, and Xeno Buttons, of course, I'm geared to play against Ginyu, but unfortunately I didn't see any Ginyu matchups, which is really lame. So my sideboard, I was running objections, so post board, I would honestly end up cutting the 2 Xeno Buttons and cut 1 Bulma and put in 3 objections. And so if I would have known that I wasn't going to play against any Ginyu, I probably would have made the deck based that way too, because seeing the ramp no matter what is really helpful. And there were some games where I had all the pieces, and whether if I was on the draw or the play, and didn't see the ramp, and that caused me to be a turn behind, which wasn't fun. But back to Unyielding Spirit Trunks. This card is amazing with a blue leader, especially in this kind of deck, because if you have some of these, you can play 2 Gotenks on that same turn, which is absolutely disgusting, filling your board with 1 of these and 2 of these, because you have 3 25k double strikers, and you drew 2, 3, 4 cards that turn off of them. And then, of course, you awakened as well most of the time, so you drew 5, 6, swing, 7 cards. So you drew a ton of cards just off that exchange. And Unyielding Spirit Trunks is something that can unlock that for you. And of course, it just helps you if you ever tap out on your turn. You can swing, play one of these, pop up an energy, and then you have your defense back, which is really big. So the deck itself, a lot of people ask me why I run Bundle of Curiosities, why I don't run Boo's. Main reason why, I needed green sources, and Bundle is going to essentially do the same thing as Boo, but for 2 energy. But a lot of the times, I'm just playing him for a green energy source with upside. Full power energies at 2. I really just wanted extra negates, and I needed more green sources, so I didn't want to play Mafuba, so I played full power energy, even though this card just really isn't that good. But the extra negate is helpful, especially if you're trying to stave off red decks that are running Kaba and things like that. And then my removal package, 2/2/2. I've been doing this a lot lately, mostly because Determined is going to be able to hit anything, Kale's going to be able to hit multiple threats on the board, and then Raging Attacker is great if you ever pass with open energy. And a lot of times, since this card's from set 1, your opponent doesn't really expect this play, even if you're playing green these days, because it's it's a card that doesn't see a ton of play. But I like it for that ability and that flexibility, as well as it was great again. It's great against Ginyu too, because any threat that you can present on their turn that they have to use the Bloodlust on is awesome, because even when it gets back to your turn, it's still going to have a double strike. So it's really strong. So I like the removal package like that. So otherwise, this deck is really cool. Like I said, unfortunately, it is super expensive because it runs 3 Joyful Strike Goku Black Rose promos. But the deck is really fun to play. So if you have the cards, or if you guys just want to proxy it or play it on an Octagon, give it a try. There's going to be times you're going to be absolutely blown away by the speed of this deck, or how consistent sometimes the deck can be, especially in Game 1. And then from there, hopefully you guys can take it from your locals, see some decent success with it. But again, the one that actually made top 8, they didn't have an Inherited Will in the deck, and they weren't really a combo deck whatsoever. They were more so like a mid-range beatdown deck, which I thought was really cool. Like, I like the deck itself. That just wasn't the route that I was going with it, which, of course, I have a lot of the pieces that I could have done that with, but it just didn't make any sense for me. Not with what I was trying to accomplish, which I was trying to accomplish a deck that could legitimately OTK somebody. And so my totals for the day, I took people, I think I took 2 people from 7, 2 people from 6 down. So that was 4 total. And then otherwise, the rest of the games that I ended up winning, I just took them down from whatever their life total was, whether it be 4 or less. But a lot of times I'm doing all my damage in one turn. So this deck, really cool, ton of fun to play. Again, not something I'll probably continue to play with as I try and get good. So decks I'm going to be playing going forward, I'm going to be working on Dual Attack Goku. I love that leader to death. I think he has a really good spot in the metagame right now, especially because of Cell and because of Ginyu and because of the rest of the field. But he allows you to provide card advantage without actually having to have actual cards, which I think is a really big deal in this game. And so I'm going to be working on a Dual Attack Goku deck next. And so thoughts on the format right now. So I was talking to my best friend Thomas Engel. And so let me go over my thoughts. Right now you have 2 most powerful cards in the game. You have 7-drop Cell and you have Cold Bloodlust. Those are the 2 most powerful cards in the game, right? And so with that being said, 7-drop Cell hurts every deck in the game. It does. Hurts every deck in the game. Cold Bloodlust has the same effect, but the issue is now with set 2, they've made many more cards at the 2, 3, 4, 5-drop spot that have to be Cold Bloodlusted or can run away with the game. So my issue is now you have so many cards and so many decks that can actually beat Cold Bloodlust decks, but those same decks don't have game against 7-drop Cell. And so is 7-drop Cell, is Cell in general the meta? I think as of right now the answer has to be yes. And I think, I don't want to say Ginyu's dead, but I think Control Ginyu is dead, because there are way too many proactive strategies that can punish a slow reactive deck like Tricolor Ginyu. Especially the Tricolor Ginyus that are relying on blue to cast their offensive spells, because having to tap that blue energy and not being able to defend yourself causes you to have to wait until turn 7 and beyond before you can actually do anything, because you have to have X amount of blue energy down so you can keep yourself protected if you want to be able to play a 4-drop Beerus. So that deck just continues to get worse and worse. Whereas you have stuff like Blue-Green Vegeta, Blue-Red Vegeta, Mono-Blue Vegeta, you have Soul Striker, which Soul Striker and Golden Frieza are great Ginyu matchups because untapping energy just minimalizes the impact of Bloodlust. And starter deck Goku, more so than Golden Frieza, creates inevitability, because as starter deck Goku creates and puts more energy down, he's presenting more threats per turn, which Ginyu can't deal with. Ginyu his game plan is to get you to a 1-for-1 basis. He's going to Bloodlust the 1 card you play. He's going to remove the card you play. He's going to stick his threat and then start swinging in order to create the advantage in order to win the game. So once you start making your board wide and presenting these multiple threats, that's when the game starts to spiral out of control. So decks that I think are on the rise, as you guys saw in Top Cut, the androids are, because the androids can do that against Ginyu, and of course against Cell, they're also going to be playing the Cell package, the Cell engine, so they still have the access to Cell. But the main issue is that board, you have to go wide with Androids in order to be able to have a matchup in Cell. You can't get to the point where you're just playing 1-for-1, especially if Cell gets its early TN. So the metagame going forward, I think, is going to change a lot. I really think we're going to start seeing more leader-based decks because essentially we are worried about threats getting worse. And we want to make sure that even if our hand size is low, we have the ability to have a threat on the board. And so I think that's why I'm going to start with dual attack Goku. And honestly, it's going to be red blue dual attack Goku is the first deck I'm going to be working on post Connecticut regional. And then of course I'm going to be working with the draft box leaders and hopefully be doing some Octagon recording this week. But yeah, so those are just my thoughts right now. And so that's what I'm thinking about doing going forward. I'm going to be working on those decks. And I really think that if you are expecting a Cell metagame, red has to be your color of choice. And I think we should all be getting away from, not getting away from Cold Bloodlust. I think the card's great. And I think as the, draft box Mecha Frieza comes out, that's going to be really cool. But the leader from the draft box that I'm the most excited about is the Gotenks leader. I think he's going to create a really unique play pattern against Cell because even when your hand gets dropped, you're going to have the ability to come back. So whether if it's Gotenks hand destruction or red-green Gotenks, I think that Gotenks as a leader is going to be really strong. Also, don't sleep on the Majin Vegeta leader. I think he provides something to the red hand list strategy. Hand size matter strategy is really important because you're going to be ditching a card from your hand, but you're going to be swinging with critical. So if you deal that damage, your opponent's not getting the card. That's really important. Whereas the Goku from this past set didn't have that ability. If you swing, your opponent's getting a card no matter what, even if you ditch a card. So not a big fan there, but I'm thinking I'm going to see big things from that Vegeta leader. But otherwise, guys, that was my regional experience. This was the deck profile. Hope you enjoyed it. Again, OTK decks are fun, but not in best of 3 format because your opponent knows exactly what you're doing after that. But otherwise, shout out to Bearded Collectibles again, Alec Pastrana. You're amazing. Thank you so much for the amazing sponsorship offer, and I'm truly appreciative of everything that you do for me as well as the community. Be sure soon 3xG shirts are going to be on Bearded Collectibles. Please check out the website in general. Of course, as I said before, be sure to check out Team Death Note on YouTube, new content, and then of course Hermit Style Gaming. They have a website. They're coming out with content. They are going to have a YouTube channel, so be on the lookout for that stuff as well. I'll be collaborating with them too. And then, of course, shout out to everybody at Connecticut Regional and shout out to Scrub Fam. You guys are the best. Thank you so much. Okay, bye!